Hola, hola, muy buenas tardes. Bienvenidos a Huellas Latinas. Más que una organización, somos una comunidad apasionada por las actividades al aire libre. Mi nombre es Luisana Méndez y hoy en el podcast de Huellas Latinas vamos a explorar un tema que toca el corazón de lo que somos como comunidad. Y esto es lo que llamamos la pertenencia. Y nada más y nada menos, vamos a estar hablando sobre y aprendiendo sobre un documental llamado Belonging, el cual nos invita a mirar cómo la naturaleza puede transformarse en un espacio de sanación, un espacio de identidad, pero también un espacio de conexión, no solo entre nosotros, sino también con la naturaleza y especialmente que es un documental trabajado con jóvenes de las comunidades BIPOC y cómo logramos que ellos puedan vivir y explorar esas conexiones con la naturaleza. Es un proyecto muy especial de una clase llamada Nature Immersion de North Hennepin Community College. Estos estudiantes de esta clase no solo aprendieron de la naturaleza, sino que también aprendieron a estar en ella, se aprendieron a escuchar unos a otros, a mirarse entre sí, a descubrir lo que significa sentirse parte de algo más grande. Dirigido por la profesora Anna Munro, Belonging se convirtió mucho más que en un documental. Esto ha sido una experiencia viva, una historia compartida, una prueba de que cuando damos el espacio para la conexión auténtica, la naturaleza responde con pertenencia. Y la tarea no se quedó solamente en este documental. Esto tampoco ha sido un proyecto aislado. Esto es una clase que continúa y, por supuesto, con ella llegando nuevas y nuevas voces, nuevas generaciones, nuevas historias y nuevas formas de entender lo que significa pertenecer. Así que acompáñenos hoy a compartir y a aprender con nuestras invitadas sobre este tema. Bueno, no sin antes compartirles que estamos en vivo a través de Minnesota Latin Radio, que somos Huellas Latinas y que salimos en vivo los días martes a las 5 de la tarde. Para conectarse con nuestras actividades y aprender sobre lo que hacemos, pueden ir a nuestra página web www.huellaslatinas.com o seguirnos en nuestras redes sociales. También queremos compartir que las nuevas experiencias son partes de la vida. Un ritmo que mueve una amistad, que de repente se vuelve muy especial, un trabajo que tal vez nosotros también podemos disfrutar, pero también significa estar informados antes de decidir. Y estamos hablando de, como haciendo este hincapié de que existe la legalidad en nuestro estado acerca del cannabis para los mayores de 21 años. Pero no es un juego. Esto puede atacar nuestro cuerpo y nuestra mente. Así que debemos ser sinceros con nosotros mismos e informarnos sobre este producto. No puedes o no dejes que otras personas tomen decisiones por ti o te dejen influenciar por las experiencias de otras personas. Para mantenerte informado y descubrir lo que esto significa, visita becannabisawareorg.com. Bueno, ahora sí, con nuestras invitadas del día de hoy, vamos a conversar sobre todo lo que ha sido la experiencia de esta clase y de este documental. Ellas son la profesora Anna Munro, Yuliana y Aislinn, quienes son estudiantes de este curso. Ana es profesora de North Hennepin Community College, creadora de Of Nature Immersion Course, and the mastermind behind the documentary Belonging. Anna, you were one who dreaming up this course. What inspires to you combine education with nature immersion and turn that an experience into a shared with story?
That's a great question. And hi, thanks for having me on the show. For me, I kind of came up with the idea during COVID. So a lot of us lost our connection with each other. And for me, I really wanted to find a way to bring students back together in a safe space, but also to be outside and have those experiences, which are really life-changing, kind of learning from nature and then also getting to rebuild community, have friendships, like all of those things that we lost when we were in isolation. And then Yeah, in year 2, the second year of the program actually won the Minnesota Environmental Initiative Innovation Award, which was really exciting. And part of that prize was working with Denami from Bear Stories. So he was actually the one that created a very short 3-minute film about the program. And he asked me what I needed to continue the work. And so I was like, I need food, I need money. And then I was kind of half joking, but I was like, I really would love a person to create a documentary. And so that's kind of how our relationship started. So we've worked on 3 film projects together, and we're actually having a meeting next week to talk about our next documentary for 2026. Yeah.
Wow, that is excited. I'm excited to see what is the next project.
Yeah,
So,
me too.
también nos acompaña Ana Aislinn, quien es estudiante actual de la clase Nature Immersion. Aislinn, eres parte de la nueva generación que continúa explorando este camino. ¿Qué te ha motivado a ti o qué te motivó a ti para que te unieras a esta clase? ¿Y cuál ha sido tu experiencia conectando con la naturaleza?
La razón que me metí en esta clase es porque hace un año me metí en una clase de ciencia y me gustó aprender todo, desde los árboles, los animales. Yo dije, yo quiero aprender más de esto. Y la naturaleza, a mí me gusta estar afuera, me gusta como, ¿cómo lo digo? No sé, me gusta estar afuera y me hace feliz.
Qué lindo. Yo también me siento muy feliz cuando estoy afuera y creo que ese es el punto de partida de todos cuando estamos allá afuera y sentimos eso tan bonito. Yeah, we want to learn more about that.
Yes.
Qué lindo. Yuliana, también tú eres estudiante de este programa.
Sí.
¿Qué significa esta clase para ti? What has this class mean to you?
Bueno, esta clase es como conectarse otra vez con la naturaleza porque en el principio cuando COVID como infectó como a todos que no podíamos como salir o conectar con la naturaleza y en esos años perdimos nuestra conexión afuera porque siempre estábamos como adentro por nuestra seguridad.
That is true. That made me think like maybe COVID remind us about that connection because maybe we forget about that. Only that wasn't until we was isolated when we was, oh my God, where is my connection? Not only with nature, also with other people. So yeah, I totally agree.
I think too, I'm a mom, so I have, my youngest child is 8 now, but as a mom, like I've always made it a priority to make sure that my children are like very safe and comfortable in nature, that there's nothing that scares them. They're often barefoot, and, that was really important to me as a parent. And when I started taking students outside, I would just see the same like joy and fun. Like it's, in my opinion, a lot more fun to be learning outside than in a classroom. And I feel like we all have that deep connection in our hearts with nature. It's just gets harder as you get older, and especially if the like intentionality isn't there in a school program or a university program.
Yeah, that is super, super true. I was thinking about like how personal connection can be so different for everyone. So not everyone connect with nature or others in the same way. Also, we learn based on the exploration or based on the experience that may the knowledge or we retain the memories in a deeper way. So that is incredible. For all of you, what outdoor place make you feel most like yourself?
Estando afuera con animales.
Ooh, what kind of animals?
Los gatos, cats.
Okay. That is important because I was thinking about the wolf or the bears. No, maybe not.
Yeah.
Dangerous.
Bro.
What about you, Anna?
For me, I mean, I'm just happy outside in general, but for me, I would say the furthest away from towns and cities as possible. Like, I love to travel and I love to go to the most remote place you can possibly find. So, and I would say same as Aislinn, like I really love to see animals in the wild and like try and observe them in their natural habitat. That's always very exciting for me, and it kind of makes my day if I see an animal just doing its thing, you know?
Yeah. What about you, Juliana?
No, para mí, a mí me gusta estar ver mucho como el agua, como los lagos, pues, porque se siente muy calmado ver cómo la agua se mueve poco a poquito.
Qué lindo. Y además nuestro cuerpo está compuesto de 75% del agua, así que hay una conexión bastante profunda en que los seres humanos podemos conectarnos con el agua. Anna, I was mentioned the water is an important resource in nature because our body is compound with 75% of water. So the way we connect with nature is so unique and very, very special. If you could choose a sound from nature that represents your story, what will it be? Si puedes escoger un sonido de la naturaleza que te represente, ¿cuál podría ser? ¿O cuál sería?
I actually have two.
Oh.
One is kind of, you know, that gurgling sound that a stream makes when it's running through rocks. That sound, that's really happy, peaceful sound. And then the sound of a pileated woodpecker laughing.
Do you make that sound some?
I can't. No, I can't. No, I couldn't even try. But they're just like, you know, they're incredible birds, right? They're the largest woodpecker we have left in North America. And so they kind of look like a little clumsy, but they have that beautiful red head. And then when you see them sailing through the forest, and then they make that really loud chuckling sound, it's kind of like, I'm here.
Yeah, I know what it is.
Yeah.
What about you, ladies? Any sounds, particular sounds?
Para mí sería la caída de agua, waterfalls. Nomás porque yo soy muy alegre y no sé, la caída de agua nomás me hace alegre y sabe cómo divertirse, si fuera una persona.
Yo sería corriente de agua. También mismo como Aislinn, como estoy y luego no estoy. Hago mucho ruido a veces y luego es como se calma, ¿sabes?
Me encanta. Wow. I like that. Do you remember the first time you feel belonging in a nature space?
Nomás cada vez cuando estoy afuera con mi familia, me gusta ir en los botes con mi familia y sí, nomás cada vez cuando estoy afuera con mi familia.
Qué bonito.
Sí.
I spent a lot of time outside when I was a child. My dad was really, really, really obsessed with frogs. So I spent a lot of time like looking in ponds for frogs and tadpoles with my dad. And then I also spent a lot of time on the beach in England where I grew up. and we would do this activity, which, like, if you don't grow up by the sea, you wouldn't necessarily know about it, but it's called rock pooling, where you just go looking for all the little creatures that live in the rock pools. So whenever we go back to England, like, my kids love to go rock pooling.
Nice.
A mí el mismo como Aislinn, que me gusta estar afuera con mi familia y ahora con mis sobrinos que los tengo ahora para estar afuera.
Qué lindo. When we are out with family and also with kids, that is so special because like unplug the memories about our childhood, and we want to play and be child again. So that is a very good sense. Anna, how the idea for the nature immersion course come about, and what do you want students experience beyond the academic experience? Because
sorry, go
we
ahead.
understand, we talk about COVID, we want, the students be out and reconnect, but it's very interesting that in the academic level support that kind of experience. So I would like to hear more about that.
Well, I guess it was percolating for a long time. And, when I first started working at North Hennepin a long time ago, we created a lot of programming around Earth Day. So to get students outside and, bring in speakers, we would do like these week-long events on campus and bring in a lot of different speakers. And I would have kind of a big group of students helping lead those activities and help organize them. And then we realized like it was a lot of work, and students asked if we could make a class around that. So the organizing component. So working with school districts too, like there was often the desire for school districts to have curriculum where like students would be more engaged, like beyond and outside the scope of the classroom. So with this new program, I was thinking of, well, how do I build this program that has these like very intentional desire to get students outside and feel comfortable in nature and like learn about some of the barriers in access to nature, as well as like important environmental topics like, the Herc incinerator downtown Minneapolis, the impacts on the health of the community in the area, the threat of mining to the boundary waters, like the impact of hunting and climate change on some of our more than human relatives. But then for students too, like students want to learn more about how do they get into careers in this field, like what are job opportunities, what are internship opportunities. So the idea was really to build that connection between like not only the outdoor spaces, but like people in the community like you who are out kind of leading this work, so that, we can build pathways for college and high school students into like, maybe it's just having fun in the outdoors, like going out with a group like yours, or maybe it's like, hey, I really want to work at the Three Rivers Park District. Well, now they have a direct pathway because they can take an internship and, end up working there for a season and then possibly further. And now it's actually a 2-year degree. So students can get a whole degree in outdoor and environmental leadership. That degree just launched this semester at North Hennepin, and it will transfer to multiple universities in Minnesota.
Wow, definitely. I want to learn more about that. And for sure, I know more members of my community will be happy to learn about this program. In the documentary Belonging, was there anything that surprised you when watching your student stories on a screen?
I think in that film, Belonging, DeLorean, who actually went to the same high school as Aislinn and Yuliana, there was a moment in the middle of the film where he talks about worrying about how nature could be lost before he's even had the opportunity to fully explore it. And, you know, I feel like we all live with the threat and anxiety of climate change and losing these places that are so beautiful. So I think one of the things that maybe surprised me was just how much weight young people are carrying around that. And this program gives students the opportunity to share stories, like their own fears about climate change. We do a climate storytelling workshop with Josna Harris from Change Narratives. So both Yuliana and Aislinn and their classmates just created their like first climate story. And we're actually going to be hosting a public event February the 28th at the Eastman Nature Center. So Josna will be there, and the elder Hope Flanagan, she'll be doing some really wonderful storytelling. And then hopefully some of the students will be sharing those stories that they wrote where they can talk about those anxieties and fear about losing nature.
Wow. I'm so happy to hear that. Since this documentary, how the class has been involved now? What lessons have you learned as a teacher, as a professor, as you continue to guide the new generations?
Well, I think for me, one of the most important things for me is creating opportunities for students' voices to be heard, like tonight with Aislinn and Yuliana. Oftentimes in education spaces, people will speak about students and on behalf of students, but the students don't actually get to speak for themselves. So last week, we happened to be at ASHE, which is the Advancement of Sustainability in Higher Education. They had their annual conference in Minneapolis, and they invited me to be part of the opening. And I was like, well, hey, how about we have the students be part of the opening? So one of the students from last year's program actually like gave a traditional Indigenous welcome for the opening. And for me, that's the most important thing, right? Like Yuliana and Aislinn, like you're our future. So it's really important that you are being given opportunities to talk about what you feel, what you think, what you want.
Yeah, that is a good opportunity. The push the new generation, motivate and inspire the new generation to take the place, tomar los lugares que también
So
nos pertenecen.
Aislinn actually got to present last week.
Ooh. Congratulations for that. So the documentary is called Belonging. So what means this word for you, to you today? ¿Qué significa esta palabra belonging para ustedes?
Belonging.
¿Se vieron el documental?
Sí.
Muy bien.
Belonging to me means to have a forever home, tener un lugar que es para siempre.
Hermoso.
Sí. Es como es como sentirse en un lugar cómodo, que puedes expresarte bien y no ser juzgado por lo que estás haciendo o quieres ser.
Belonging for me means like feeling safe and feeling like I can be my authentic self.
Wow. That is a powerful, all of you, ideas and feelings. Okay, ladies, if you could share a piece of learning or any advice for a new students for taking this class, what you will say? Si pueden compartir alguna lección aprendida o algún consejo para que algún nuevo estudiante tome esta clase, ¿Qué le dirían ustedes?
I'll say to enjoy it. I feel like this is well, there could be a lot more opportunities, but I'm not sure about that. But this is a good opportunity, especially as a 16-year-old high schooler. I think this is an amazing opportunity.
Make sure to watch the due dates on your assignments, guys. Asegúrense que lo ponen en tiempo.
Yeah.
Muy bien.
No, pero que sí, que disfruten esta clase.
Qué bueno, qué bueno. Ojalá más estudiantes puedan unirse a este tipo de programas. Recuerden que estamos en vivo a través de Minnesota Latin Radio, que si tienen algún comentario pueden dejarlo en la barra de comentarios o cualquier otra pregunta, ya sea para responder ahora mismo o en los días siguientes que estará guardado este video. También recordarles que Huellas Latinas sale en vivo todos los martes a las 5 de la tarde en esta plataforma y que pueden visitar nuestra página web en www.huellaslatinas.com para conocer las próximas actividades, que estamos en una hermosa temporada de otoño, haciendo caminatas de otoño y disfrutando de la naturaleza en este cambio de estación tan bonito y tan significativo. También recordarles visitar BeCannabisAware.org, una página web donde pueden encontrar muchísima información acerca de este tema, de estos productos, para que estén informados y tomen decisiones informadas y no por la influencia de lo que puedan ver o lo que te puedan decir los demás. La responsabilidad comienza a partir de nosotros y del conocimiento que podemos tener sobre estos temas tan particulares dentro de nuestra comunidad. Sin tapujos, simplemente manteniendo la mente abierta para mantenernos informados y además saludables. Bueno, ahora sí, hablando un poco acerca de lo que es el futuro, talking about future, talking about like maybe controversial topics, because nobody understands the importance about the job, about the role outdoors leaders have when they invite people or minority communities to join in outdoors. Like everybody in the normal way assume everybody know or everybody belong, but it's not about that. It's a very, very, I don't know, a challenge in that kind of way. So why do you think a space like this class or like community groups are so important for BIPOC students or for BIPOC communities?
Well, I mean, I can say that you're right. And like, it's a really important role and it's a big responsibility, right? Because when you're taking students outside, it is a different environment. I think that's honestly why there's so much fear in educational institutions, because you can't control nature. And so there's a lot of rules and regulations and fear in school districts and universities about what might happen. So I will say you have to be a special kind of person to do this kind of work, because most normal people would never do it. Like, just the amount of paperwork and rules and regulations, it's incredibly stressful. So I will say that. But I also feel like, you know, I'm not from Minnesota. I didn't grow up in the culture here. It's really different. And it can feel exclusionary. So I really wanted to create a space that was not like that, where everybody felt safe and welcomed. And, you know, you have to be really intentional about the ways that you create those kind of spaces. So one of the things I always try and do in my classes is bring in elders and representatives from different communities, so that students can learn like different ways of being in the outdoors, but also learn from like the first peoples of this place. I think that's really important. The other thing I want to say too is that the skills that students like learn in the outdoors are really different. So a student who might feel like school isn't for them, suddenly in the outdoors, they're catching the biggest fish, or they're paddling the fastest, or they're really good on a mountain bike, or they can identify birds and trees, and then they become a leader amongst their peers. And I think that's really important too.
Wow. Anna, how you integrate the cultural and emotional component into the learning in nature?
Well, we start and end every day in a circle. So students, we will have like a prompt or something to talk about, so that students, everybody's voices, if there's other staff or other mentors, like they will contribute in the circle too. So that might feel a little weird at first. You can ask Yuliana and Aislinn if that felt weird, but by the end, like everybody's really willing to contribute, and it just becomes more relaxed. So I think that's a really important way of doing that. We talk a lot about like gratitude to the space, to other people. We talk about thinking about the energy that you carry and that you give out. And we talk a lot too about like your gifts. So the gifts you can bring to the community, because everybody has something of their own to offer.
Wow, that is beautiful. Ladies, Juliana and Aislinn, if you could write a little letter for yourself, but before this experience, what would you say? Si pudieran escribirse esa pequeña carta a las de ustedes antes de toda esta experiencia, ¿qué se dirían?
I think I'd say to kind of similar to what I said earlier, to enjoy it and to cherish the new connections and relationships you made with people. Because I did make some new friends, and I think it's especially special for me because I'm more of the younger generation and they're kind of older than me. So I just thought it was beautiful how we made a connection, um even because of the age gap is just kind of big. So I thought it was a good experience for me.
Nice.
Yeah.
I would have said that you won't believe it, but you will be going camping for 3 days.
You never thinking about going camping before?
No, not like that.
That is
Vamos a comprar por 3 días.
¿Te gustó?
Sí, me gustó. Yo pensaba que iba a salirme mal, pero en verdad sí me gustó porque me conecté con mis compañeros y los maestros que trabajo en esta clase.
Qué bien, qué bonito. That is so beautiful. Anna, you mentioned before you will be have a meeting with somebody talking about projects or maybe new documentary for next year. What is the future for this class?
Well, we just got $330,000 from the state of Minnesota. So for the next 3 years, we have like a substantial amount of funding to support the program, which is really exciting. That means that there's scholarships for students. There'll be a lot of events and programming that we can pay for. So it will be free for students. We'll be doing some events. We're going to host an environmental summit in April of next year. Just planning a June class that's going to be centered around water and relationships with the water. So yeah, just lots of exciting things to come.
Wow. Juliana and Aislinn, how do you think this experience will influence your personal and professional future?
I think it'll affect me in a good way. I think now I feel like after the camping trip and after this whole class, I feel like I'm more open-minded and I'm willing to try new things. Like during the camping, we almost have, what do we do? Oh, fishing, pescar. And I've done it before, lo he hecho unas veces con mi familia, pero fue hace años. It was a long time ago. And I tried it again and I was like, se me olvidó cómo hacer esto. I forgot how to do it. And then I finally learned again. And touching the worm, I was just like, but then by the end of the day, I was like, this is good. And I feel like ever since that, I've been more open-minded.
Yo siento que me reconecté otra vez con la naturaleza porque desde COVID yo nunca no he salido como ya frequently, ya no mucho como antes, como de cuando era chiquita, que me tenían que agarrar para entrar en la casa.
Well, yo les deseo que ustedes sigan en este camino porque hay muchísimas oportunidades en esta área que ni se imaginan. Así que necesitamos más personas latinas que estén dentro de los temas de ambiente y de naturaleza y de outdoors. We need more Latinos in the outdoor space, in the environmental topics, in the, I don't know, advocacy and recreation, everything in outdoors. So you guys and I, for sure, all the students who love outdoors and who are part of this program, I visualize a very good future for you guys. Well, finish this sentence. When I am in nature, I feel
Happy.
Calm.
Calm with myself and with the world.
Beautiful. Thank you all of you for your time, for being here, for share all your experience, for inspire another Latino community, Latino youth who maybe feel curious about this kind of program, and also for inspire organizations like Huellas Latinas to follow the path, because this is very important what you are doing, Ana. This is amazing. I want to know everything about the program, and I want to share everything, all that kind of information with all communities. So we need to know more about this. Gracias, gracias Ana, gracias Aislinn, gracias Yuliana por compartir todo este pedacito de sus historias, about este documental. El documental está en la página web la hemos dejado como en la descripción de este episodio, y también la pueden encontrar en YouTube, porque bueno, este tipo de historias nos recuerda que la naturaleza puede ser un espacio donde nosotros nos encontramos realmente quiénes somos, y que también podemos abrir esta conversación de que tal vez la naturaleza muestra ese reflejo que sigue vivo, que sigue creciendo, que sigue transformando cada persona, cada estudiante, cada miembro de nuestra comunidad, y bueno, que nos queremos ver allí. Pertenecer también nos recuerda que tenemos un lugar en la naturaleza, que solo necesitamos detenernos, respirar y permitirnos sentir que realmente pertenecemos, porque todos tenemos un lugar aquí. Bueno, gracias a todas, gracias a ustedes por sintonizarnos. Recuerden que esto es Huellas Latinas, que llegamos todos los martes a las 5 de la tarde a través de Minnesota Latin Radio, un espacio para que podamos aprender, inspirarnos y también conectarnos con la naturaleza. Visiten nuestra página web y nuestras redes sociales para conocer nuestras próximas actividades, y también recuerden mantenerse informados con temas que quizás pueden ser un tabú en nuestros hogares. Visiten becannabisaware.org para informarse sobre estos temas y tomar decisiones en base a la información y no a la influencia que puedan haber en la calle, en las redes o de otras personas. Nos vemos el próximo martes a las 5 de la tarde. Muchas gracias por estar aquí.